Welcome, listeners, to today's episode of the Black Business Roundtable. I am fired up and ready to show up and show out. I am your host, Doug Blackshear, broadcasting to you live from the City of Diversity, Oakland, California, at Scott's Seafood Restaurant in Jack London Square. I am excited, as always, to share this podcast platform with my ride or die sister, Dr. Ashley Coleman. And thankfully, she helps us with our calming spirits. As always, thank you to Donnie Glover of BlackUSA.News for the honor of the Black Business Roundtable and being a part of a growing network of dedicated shows to inform and bringing the real unfiltered news before the news. Did you see last week's show with Chef Mishanae Allaire of Busy Wife and her garlic crab dip and fried pita? Man, I've been eating on that for the last couple of days, Dr. Ashley.
So jealous, so jealous.
Oh, see that podcast link on the recipe as linked below. Also, tickets to the Wine and Whiskey Masquerade Affair hosted by Chef Michonnet on October 29th. Visit 57north.com events as listed at the bottom of the screen. Girl, I have to keep moving to the side because that sun is coming right in my eye. And audience, I have to share this visual in Jack London Square, Oakland, California. So bear with me for a minute.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Home sweet home.
There is nothing like Oakland, California, anywhere in the world. So thank you for allowing me to share that with you. Come on, come one, come all, and masquerade and be the belle of the ball. For more information, Michonne Allaire and her webpage is thebusywife.net. Instagram at thebusywife 2017. Hashtag thebusywife 2017. Also, have a happy and safe Halloween 2022 as it is just 4 days away, 4 to 6 p.m. Today, October 27, 2022, as noted from the National Day Calendar, is all about the importance of civics. Oh, let me bring this camera up. Hey, wait a minute, audience. I have to share with you. Now, I've been on for a year, but you've never seen Doug do this. I have my Cadillac margarita, Dr. Ashley, while I'm enjoying this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful scenery in Jack London Square. So, audience, let me share. Oakland is a mecca for everything, and it is a beautiful place to come live, work, and play, and definitely stay. Moving forward, today, October 27th, 2022, as noted from the National Day Calendar, is all about the importance of civics. National Daycalendar.com. It is National Civics Day. Hashtag National Civics Day. The observance also commemorates the date of the Federalist paper were first published on October 27, 1787. These documents serve as a foundation for the United States Constitution. Civic education prepares students for their roles as citizens. Students benefit from a strong civic education in many ways. Improve critical thinking, communication skills, community service, civic engagement. They are also more likely to vote, volunteer, engage in political discussions at home, work, on community projects, speak publicly, and communicate with elected officials. And that's really important. Our young people need to let our political elected politicians know what they're happy with and what they're not happy with, because politics right now sometimes in certain areas seem to be politricks. Thank you to the nationaldaycalendar.com for these National Day, Week, and Month events. Some current events in the news today. What is going on with Ye? What is going on with Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, and his continuing disturbing comments that he continues to make considered to be hate speech. Hate speech. And black people need to be very conscious of hate speech because, as we know, we are one of the most hated group of people on this planet. So, you need to, formerly Kanye, you need to check yourself before you wreck yourself. His continuing hate speech in regards to those of Jewish faith. He is losing contractual partnership by the day. Maybe Dr. Ashley, later in the show, can you speak from your perspective and help us better understand Ye's Clarence Thomas? I'm gonna say Ye Clarence Thomas. Maybe giving Ladybug Lindsay an out from having to get in the hot seat and testifying in regards to the investigation into the Georgia election. We will be watching this closely. You can look up the Ladybug and Lindsay connection on your own. Both are black men seeming to have an issue that are pulling at the fabric of black America. Change. Lord, wait a minute. Dr. Ashley, that deserves a cocktail. Moving forward, this week's thumbs up goes to Georgia voters. Congratulations, Georgia voters, turning out in record numbers to cast their ballots early. If you vote in a fresh perspective, get a fresh opportunity. Vote up and down the ballot in every state. Remember, those voted in ballot and down ballot end up moving up. This week's Black Business Roundtable thumbs down goes to dun, 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 Kanye West. Yes, Ye as hate speech is never acceptable. And being a black man, and we have been persecuted throughout American history, he should be the last person spewing hate speech towards others. Watch this children of color, including his own. Hashtag Kardashian West, hashtag Kardashian. Remember, if you act like a clown, the Black Business Roundtable is giving you a thumbs down. I love that. We have a producer, Doctor.
Clever.
She knows how to put it the way it really is, doesn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, today we are speaking to Sheng Thao, running for mayor of Oakland, California. Mr. Barack D. Obama Shaw, running for running for mayor of Alameda, and friend of the show, Janani Ramachandran, running for City Council District 4. So get ready to hear it all right here on the Black Business Roundtable. Join me and our, and I have to keep saying that, Dr. Ashley, our ride or die person, Dr. Ashley Coleman, as we give you the latest news from Oakland, California, right here on the Black Business Roundtable, October 27th, 2022, in the fabulous, beautiful Jack London Square, Scott's Seafood and Garden, where I'm enjoying and I'm going to share it again, Dr. Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Oh, and I have to share my Rockefeller oysters.
Mm.
Yes.
Very nice.
Yes.
I just realized that all the years that I've been to the restaurant for dining in, for parties or whatnot, I've never sat outside. I've always sat inside.
Well, next time you come to Oakland, I'm personally bringing you here to
Okay.
whatever you like to eat or drink and enjoy the ambiance that
Mm.
California has to offer the world.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we have to continuously protect it from elected politicians who use this as a stomping ground for gentrification and for not addressing the issues that are disturbing and are continuously causing black businesses in the city to close. My co and show guests today include our weekly, you don't have to work on that hour, our weekly check-in with our very own Dr. Ashley Coleman, Doctor of Psychology, the tenured and immediate past department chair, assistant professor of psychology at University of the West. Welcome back, Dr. Ashley.
Thank you, Doug.
Dr. Ashley, I have the skin. I am in heaven at Jacqueline Square, Scott's Food and Restaurant, enjoying once again the meal of
Mm-hmm.
and a cocktail and this beautiful scenery
Mm-hmm.
in Oakland, California. And I'm doing slow. I'm going slow because I want our audience to get a real view of why it's so important that we protect this for all people and not just the rich and famous.
Mm.
Okay, moving forward, Dr. Ashley, we have Sheng Thao,
Mm-hmm.
Oakland District Council President Pro Tem and mayoral candidate for more information regarding her platform. Oh, girl, the sun just keeps following me. Keeps flashing. I'll be in the water soon.
That's natural vitamin D. Not bad. Not bad for you.
Okay. We have for more information on Sheng Thao, Oakland District. Let me bring this up a little bit. Oakland District Council President Pro Tem and mayoral candidate. For more information regarding her platform, please visit her webpage at shengtao4oakland.com/donate, and that's Sheng4 FOR, or her Instagram at Sheng4Oakland, and that's FOR, Sheng for Oakland. And we also have her hashtag is Sheng for Oakland, and that's FOR. Her Facebook page is as seen below on the screen. And our next guest today will include Barack D. Obama Shaw for Mayor of Alameda, California 2022. And his website is pricelesspolitics.com. We also have him at Instagram at Barack Denzel, hashtag Barack Denzel, hashtag Barack Obama for Mayor, or Facebook at Barack Denzel. Donations always welcome, and volunteers are needed to power his campaign into success, is where it's at. Mr. Barack D. Obama Shaw running for mayor of Alameda County. And last but definitely not least, Janani Ramachandran, my sister, my friend, and a fighter for all people. She is running for District 4 in Oakland, California City Council. Her website is Janani4Oakland.com, and that's FOR, Janani4Oakland.com. Her Instagram is Janani4Oakland, and that's the numeral 4. So let's get into our national political highlights. And you are not going to want to miss this because they are consistent every show until we get them in office to help this country get back on the right page. By the way, did you see how Val Demings took a photo of her police badge to show her show? Show Herschel Walker what a real badge looks like. And as you all know, Val Demings is running for Senate to take on little Marco Rubio in Florida. The shade was real. We are rooting for Democrats everywhere, and Georgia candidate Marcus Flowers, Senator Raphael Warnock, Stacey Abrams running for governor in Georgia, hashtag One Georgia, and that's ONE Georgia, and also to Florida candidate Val Demings for being in the running for their respective races. Give the gift of paying it forward and register to vote and help our community this year and into the future. Instagram at Marcus Georgia Marcus for Georgia, and that's for the numeral four, or his website is marcusforgeorgia.com, and that's FOR. His hashtag is, and I love this, Dr. Ashley, send Congress flowers. Once again, hashtag for Marcus Flowers, send Congress flowers. Instagram for Raphael Warnock, or his webpage is warnockforgeorgia.com. As you can hear, folks, we have the train coming through. We are live at Scott's Seafood Restaurant and Bar in Oakland, California, and Jack London Square, enjoying a beautiful scenery. Okay, train has gone by, Dr. Ashley. And once again, back on Instagram, Raphael at Raphael Warnock, or warnockforgeorgia.com is his webpage, and that is FOR, warnockforgeorgia.com. His hashtag is Warnock for Senate. Instagram at Stacey Abrams, or her website is stacyabrams.com. Her Instagram is, her hashtag is Stacey Abrams. And last, but definitely not least, in showing Herschel Walker what a real police person's badge looks like, Val Demings, or her website is valdemings.com, and her hashtag is Val Demings. Now, for the news of the day, Dr. Ashley, can you please take it away while I have my Rockefeller oysters and just a drop of Cadillac margarita at Scott's Garden and Bar in the beautiful Jack London Square in Oakland, California. Take it away, Dr. Ashley.
Absolutely. Thank you, Doug. Greetings, listeners. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Therapeutic Thursdays. And first, we are starting off with acknowledging how Doug is modeling his version of self-care by taking in the beautiful atmosphere of Jack London Square, a nice beverage paired with a nice meal. As per usual, we want to acknowledge the Equal Justice Initiative that provides us with a daily calendar of historical events that are significant. We must look back so that we can know what potentially may be ahead. And so on this day, October 27th, 1986, Federal Anti-Drug Abuse Act signed, creating racially biased 100-to-1 crack, powder, cocaine disparity. So again, on this date in 1986, then President Ronald Reagan signed the Anti-Drug Abuse Act. The law created a significant disparity in the sentences imposed in federal courts for crimes involving powder cocaine versus those imposed for crimes involving crack cocaine, with mandatory minimum sentences set at a 100-to-1 ratio. So for instance, a drug crime involving 5 grams of crack cocaine resulted in a mandatory minimum sentence of 5 years in federal prison, while crimes involving up to 500 grams of powder cocaine received a lower sentence recommendation. And this sentencing disparity was not based on credible scientific evidence about a differing biological impact between cocaine in powder form versus crack form, but it had clear racial results. And so the years following this Abuse Act the number of Black people sent to federal prison ballooned from approximately 50 and 100,000 adults to nearly 250 and 100,000 adults. So again, we're looking at that exponential pathway to federal incarceration. And during the same period, there was almost no change in the number of white people incarcerated in federal prison. These disparities in sentence lengths also increased. In 1986, Black people received drug sentences approximately 11% longer than sentences received by white defendants on average. But that disparity increased from 11% to 49% in the years following the law's enactment. Um, that law, along with the quote, war on drugs overall, significantly contributed to huge increases in American prison and jail population, which grew from approximately, again, 500,000 people in 1980 to nearly 2.3 million in 2013. And both of us being natives of Oakland, California, being a port city, and me being a baby of the 1980s, we still are wrapping our minds around the impact of the crack epidemic in Oakland, the dismantling of the Black family, um, the financial disparities that were consequential in that, of having a federal, again, having a record of being imprisoned federally, and then the psychological impact of that generationally. We are still seeing that. And again, when we talk about drugs in various forms, it's important for us to understand this because it is actually scheduled. So the way substances are also organized, or the scheduling system, that also has an impact on that. Doug?
And I'd like to say, piggyback off of what Dr. Ashley said, cocaine was brought in by, and I'm just going to be brutally honest, by the white man. Black people don't have planes. We couldn't go fly that stuff in. We couldn't bring that stuff in. It was, from my understanding, brought in to further destroy Black communities, and it had definitely had a negative impact on the communities in Black America, specifically in urban areas. So, Dr. Ashley, can you tell our audience, in your opinion, the psychological effect on the children and the family that were destroyed in the 80s and 90s, and how we're still trying to come back now? But when you talk about crystal meth and white people drugs, how is they don't call it a problem? They call it, oh, it's a word. I'm sure you know what I'm looking at. But when crack destroyed Black communities for decades in the 80s and 90s, it would look different than it is now in the white community. Thank you, Dr. Ashley.
No, thank you. So, kind of about that scheduling, the reason why I was bringing that up is because usually what we're looking at is the difference between like Coca-Cola, Diet Coke, and Coke Zero. But yet, the penalties for it being the same umbrella substance was different. And yes, there was a criminalization of the addiction for crack versus the view of cocaine, which for some leads to addiction, of the view of it being a party high-powered drug. And so we understand that these variables with regard to whether or not we have empathy for who the user is, empathy for addiction, empathy for what happens when we lose control of our relationship to a substance, and then who that impacts. And so now, yes, what we are seeing is an opioid crisis that has been persisting for some time. We're also noticing that there is a difference between the opioids that were being abused years ago and fentanyl. Again, the potency is changing. And so there are a lot of dynamics here, but who's bearing the brunt of it are the children, and we need to find a way for rehabilitation and psychoeducation of substances. to be implemented in schools. And let me just add this, Doug. Recently, in Los Angeles, there was a bust of fentanyl, and it actually there was a warning posted by the LA Times to parents who are taking their children trick or treating because the fentanyl was being masked as Halloween candy. And so again, we have to think about where substances are being marketed, and regardless of color, everyone should have access to quality care.
Dr. Ashley, on that note, that's why the BlackUSA.News podcast network is designed to give Black America the real news in Black America. Dr. Ashley, thank you for outlining that outstanding information. And once again, I want to say this, audience, if you watch live stream main media, what they try to portray Black people as hoodlums, thugs, rappers, when we are really doctors, lawyers, accountants, business owners. It is very important that not only America, but the world see Black people as intelligent, articulate, and ready to be leaders in our communities, in our city, in our county and state, and all across this nation. Because when people from other countries come here and they see, before they get here, they see these uh, uh, large media outlets portraying Black people as ignorant buffoons, that makes them come into our communities and not respect us and take over our businesses. So thank you, Donnie Glover and the BlackUSA.News podcast network of shows. To that end, next, our weekly check-in with my very, ooh, girl, I made that mistake again, with our very own Dr. Ashley Coleman, Doctor of Psychology. Dr. Ashley, please take it away. Thank you.
Thank you again, Doug. And what a powerful comment you're making about media portrayals and thinking about how we can feel powerless when we're not in control of what's being portrayed. So, again, on this week's Therapeutic Thursday, I want to talk about communication and relationships. But what I first want to say about communication, there's been a lot of discussion in the news about Ye and formerly known as Kanye West. And I want to be very clear with my comments. First, I have never met Kanye West, and I have never treated him psychologically or had any type of relationship with him. And it's important for my comments to be anchored in the fact that I'm not going to make any implications or hypotheses about his mental health. I also want to have the disclaimer that my first memory of Kanye West quickly was at Yard Fest at Howard University. I'm a proud alumna, as you know, of him performing in 2005, right before he released his first debut album of College Dropout, to high acclaim. What I will say, though, is that I have safeguarded my ears, because this has been a challenging week for other reasons, to some of the bombardment of what has been covered. And so there is a lot I need to catch up on. I'm familiar, but I've been purposely safeguarding my ears to maintain my own sense of peace. But what I will say about communication is that one of the things we try to teach, last week we talked about mindful eating before Chef Michelet taught us her recipe for the crab dip. I want to talk about mindful communication. And I want to quote Viktor Frankl, who was a psychologist, who talks about the importance of mindfulness is to allow us to have a moment when we're stimulated to really pass some questions through our mind and delay our impact of something stimulating us and our response. Many of us, when we hear something, have you ever had someone trigger you in traffic? You may be in traffic now listening to us. And you may get the urge to do something, but with a moment, with a deep breath, a few deep breaths with that stress ball that's right here by my side with soothing music, You may check in with yourself and say, you know what? It's not worth honking. It's not worth saying anything. Let me just let this moment pass. The same can be helpful with communication. So I want to remind us of stop, taking a breath, observing our body. If we're tense, are we in fight or flight mode? Because when we get elevated to a certain point, we're not going to be able to pass those questions through. Is it worth it? We may feel like we need the last word, and not think about the consequences of what we're going to say. Right? So stop, take a breath, observe, and proceed. This is important also when it comes to communication. Some other questions that can be helpful. Is it kind? Is it necessary? Let me flip it. Is it kind? Is it true? Okay. Is it necessary? And the is it necessary part, these are questions, again, that helps us based on Viktor Frankl and us passing through our words, because this tongue is a sharp sword that not only can cut someone else, it can cut you too. And one of the ways it can cut you is by you not counting the costs of what these words, what are you birthing life to? What are you speaking in the atmosphere? How can your words be misconstrued and harm you, or harm your family, or harm what you've built? And so again, asking yourself, is it true? Is it kind? And is it necessary? Can really help all of us feel more comfortable, not just in the moment of what we're saying, but afterwards, not having to go back and retract or potentially damage relationships where reconciliation won't be offered or possible. I also want to highlight the 4 Agreements, which is a book that was, want to make sure I get the author right, written by Don Miguel Ruiz. And one of the 4 agreements that I want to highlight that he talks about, this is a self-help book, is being impeccable with your word. And again, what that means is to take responsibility for one's actions and to remain without judgment against oneself and others. And again, really speaking with integrity and carefully choosing words before saying them aloud. And with that, I'm also going to personally acknowledge one of my favorite professors at Howard, Dr. Greg Carr, the chair of Africana Studies, in which I minored. Dr. Carr spoke up about comments that Ye had made previously also about the African American community. And he was one of the loudest voices asking us as a Black community to hold him accountable for his comments regarding slavery and other matters. Subsequently, Kanye West was welcomed onto Howard University's campus shortly thereafter. Not only, and I thought about Dr. Carr this week, and I thought about his invitation to have an accountability conversation with Ye. And I can't help, as an optimist and someone who engages in a lot of self-reflection, to think of what if. So can all of us be more mindful of the words that we speak, our responses, giving ourselves enough time to consider those responses, and to be open to correction or continued conversation for new knowledge and mutual understanding. That's where I'll leave it today. Also, while Doug is just finishing up, I'm sure, his meal, I also want to always acknowledge, if you're interested in therapy, looking through Psychology Today, there's also blackmenheal.org, therapyforblackmen.org, therapyforblackgirls.com. And if you or a loved one is experiencing a psychological crisis, you can always go to your nearest emergency room as well as dial 988 or text 741-741 for 24/7 resources and ways to support you or someone you know, again, who's in a psychological crisis. And further, when you're looking for a therapist around this time of year, again, there can be some wait lists. So if you think you'll need some support heading into the holidays, now is a great time to make those calls so that you can build a trusting relationship with a therapist who can support you during these coming months. Doug?
Dr. Ashley, it is so awesome to have you as my ride or die. When I'm lost, you are found, and when I'm lost, find me. Thank you for. We had I don't know if it was the Rockefeller oysters or the Cadillac margarita. Beautiful ambient that
Mm-hmm.
I'm in here in Jack London Square in Oakland, California. But to that end, here today is Councilwoman Sheng Thao running for Mayor of Oakland, California, endorsed by Alameda County Democratic Party, Planned Parenthood, Sierra Club, Oakland Firefighters, California Nurses Association,
Mm-hmm.
to name a few. One of the Bay Area's boldest, most effective progressive leaders, a friend of mine, a friend of this show moving forward, and soon to be the next mayor of Oakland, California. Dr. Ashley, can you please read this person's bio so our audience can get a flavor of what we're going to have moving the next 4 years, getting away from the past 4 years of 130% increase of homelessness and the destruction of Black and brown businesses in Oakland, California for the last 8 years. Dr. Ashley, please take it away.
Thank you, and it's my pleasure. City Council President Pro Tem Sheng is a daughter of refugees. Sheng's commitment to justice and drive to make a difference are rooted in where she comes from. A single mom who survived domestic violence, persistence drove Sheng Thao to make it and then to make a difference for others. A barrier breaking council member and one of Oakland's most creative, substantive, and effective leaders on housing, homelessness, and public safety. Sheng brought the council together to fund both violence prevention and new police academies. Sheng united labor and business to secure millions in funding for housing and homelessness services. She also has been a dedicated and effective champion for those who have been left out and left behind, a champion for workers' rights. In response to COVID, Sheng stood up to protect renters. She led the way in making Oakland the first sanctuary city for abortion rights in California. Sheng is City Hall's leader on wildfire prevention and emergency preparedness. A noted budget expert, Sheng's colleagues often turn to her for fiscal guidance. Again, please welcome Councilwoman Sheng Thao to the Black Business Roundtable.
Welcome, Shane, to the Black Business Roundtable. You have been and continuously will be a beacon of progressiveness in
Mm,
this great city in Oakland, California. And on that note, I'd like to finish by saying, as you know, I am a staunch fighter of the
mm,
ILWU, International Longshore and Warehouse Workers, who have endorsed Sheng Thao to be
mm.
our next mayor of Oakland, California. On that note, as of yesterday, October 19th, 2022, on Channel 7 News, Bay Area snippets at 8:45 p.m., it was shared that an alliance between Council Member District 6 Lauren Taylor running for mayor and Council Member Treva Reed District 7 has been formed. They are asking voters to vote accordingly. Might you and Alyssa join forces as two women that are that our city is in need of now that Libby Schaaf has turned out and has devastated this city in increasing homelessness by 130% and has devastated the black business development in Oakland, California. Thank you, Honorable Council Member, Pro Tem President Sheng Thao, and welcome to the Black Business Roundtable that airs from California to New York, from the border of Canada to the border of Mexico, and several. Thank you.
Shang, I think we have you.
There we go. Can you
There
hear
you
me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Well, thank you so much, Doug. You are a dear friend of mine. We've known each other, 10 years now. And Dr. Ashley, it's so nice to meet you.
Nice.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful to be here. And to what you had just stated, Mr. Blackshear, I think the most pressing challenge facing Oakland is basically the failure of the mayor and the council to work together to address our problems. And a mayor who has been distracted, if I can be honest, maybe about Howard Terminal, while more urgent problems like homelessness and public safety, 911 response have gotten worse. And we know that we need a mayor who can and will build the broad coalitions necessary to move us forward, and someone willing to break with the status quo. And so I know that the mayor has endorsed both of my council colleagues in this race. That's Lauren Taylor and Treva Reed. And I'm proud to not have her endorsement to ensure that we don't keep the status quo. I think that we need change and to turn the page if Oakland's going to get back on track. And as mayor, I will work with the city council. And this is why I have the majority of the city council's support to be next mayor, because they know that I will put an end to the division and the dysfunction. And I know that, and they know that public safety will be my day one, number one priority. And more so on that it's just the complete dysfunction between the mayor's office not willing or wanting to work with the city council members.
Well, on that note, I am a black man. Lauren Taylor is a black man, and Treva Reed is a black woman. And this is not a black or white issue. This is about save Oakland for all people. And as we all know, Oakland's black population has gone down from 46% to 22.6% and steady declining. As we all know, that the homeless population is 70% African American. And of that 70%, over 50% are senior citizens. Now, to that end, I've known you for 10 years, and I've called you on several issues in which you don't look at color. You look at addressing the problem. And that is why you have my vote and you have my commitment to do everything that I can in my position to make sure we have a mayor that is not led by the current mayor, Libby Schaaf, who does nothing but take pictures with black people and then knife us in the back. To that end, Sheng Thao attended a constituent home meeting last Friday in the Kohler Heights district. What did you learn that this community sees as problems in their part of the city and the city as a whole? Thank you, Sheng.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it's not about just what I've learned, it's what we all have seen for decades, right? Under the same trajectory of the same sort of leadership, is that we're seeing a whole swath of Oakland. And we all know it's East Oakland, it's West Oakland, it's Deep East Oakland that has been forgotten, underserved, and underheard. Why? Because yes, it's the more Black, brown, and lower income communities, right? And so, to your point, Mr. Blackshear, yes, I look different. My skin color is different. However, I am unapologetic about representing working families, the working class, the majority who are living on the margins day to day, having multiple jobs. And that's my values. It's who I am to this day. And so for me, it's about how do we lift those who are living on the margins, lifting from the bottom up, That's how you solve these issues. And so what that means is, and I don't need, to be honest with you, I mean, of course we need the equity report so we can do our policy making and what have you in a legal way, but I don't need an equity report to tell me that Deep East Oakland has not been given the service it so deserved. Right? It's plain and simple. And so that is why, as your mayor, come January, that's what we hyper focus on. We do a deep clean, and not a deep, and not just that, but a whole reset of District 7, District 6, District 5, District 3, high focus. And we don't need a report on that because we already know that that's where the work needs to happen. And that is why, currently now as a council member, I went and used my political will at the state level to fight for $2 million, $2 million that has been line item for 3 specific parks. That's Casa Faranga, Verdes, and not just that, but Arroyo Viejo. Because this whole trickle down effect, it doesn't work. It gets consumed in the middle and the upper tier. It never reaches the people. And so in order for you to actually create the impacts that you want to see, and when you talk about public safety or your economic opportunities, you have to give community direct access to the resources. Otherwise, you're just talking the talk and you're actually not about the action.
Well, before you ask,
you're breaking up.
Yeah, you're breaking up, Doug.
Oh, can you hear me better now?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
As we know, District 6 and District 7. District 6 City Council person Lauren Taylor is council member, and District 7, Treva Reed is council member. It looks like a third world country in those districts, and it's shameful. And Oakland is known not just in the United States, but worldly as being one of the worst homeless populations in the world. So, Dr. Ashley, I wanted to point that out. Please ask the next question.
Absolutely. So, Sheng, on your website, you have a comprehensive public safety plan that addresses the root causes of crime to build a safer Oakland for all. And you have 8 key points approximately. And we want to start kind of discussing those to give our listeners an opportunity to get familiar with your platform. So how about we start a little bit in discussing your opinions on women's reproductive rights and how to support a woman having the agency and control to make decisions about her body.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for this question, Dr. Ashley. Ensuring that we vote for Prop 1. Prop 1 is on the ballot, and it's how we actually codify and make it part of law in California that a woman or a girl or anybody can actually make their own decision when it comes to their own body. Mm-hmm. And I am a huge champion of making sure that we keep those rights as women. Not only do it's a personal issue for me. I'm the author of making Oakland the first sanctuary city for women's abortion rights, women's healthcare rights here in the city of Oakland. But as a young girl, I was raped and I became impregnated. And this is not a story that I talk about much because it hurts, but I didn't want to actually have this person's child. And so I scheduled an appointment at Jack London Square Planned Parenthood. And I went and I had, it was such a difficult process, but on that same token, it was an option for me. It was an option for me. And that was the option that I needed to take and to make, right? That was my decision. And I can't tell you that there are other stories, right, where women are needing to have emergency abortions to save their own lives. Mm-hmm. It is complete just healthcare, right? And we're talking about our trans community as well, too, who needs access to this healthcare. And so for me, it's a no-brainer. I'm a huge champion of making sure that, we allow for any person to make decisions on their own and not have a politician make a decision around their healthcare rights.
Sheng, Doug, before you ask your question, I just want to thank you first for your advocacy. Thank you for your transparency and modeling and humanity and sharing that. And you're not alone. We have many survivors that share their stories as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Doug? Oh, you're going out again. It must be it's see, you're Shang, just a quick aside. Doug's had these Rockefeller oysters. I'm envious. He's at Scott's, and so Doug's having to get, so his phone is sabotaging.
Well, can you hear me now? Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. Shang, as you know, and before I ask my next question, I attended the Oakland African American Chamber of Commerce luncheon. And out here every year at Scott Seafood. So I didn't have time to go home. But as my audience knows, I will not miss a show unless I'm in the hospital or in the morgue. But I am here to inform Black America on the true leader. And that's not, being a true leader doesn't mean you have to be a Black person. Being a true leader means you represent all people, audience. And that is why I support Sheng Thao, because she represents all people fairly and equitably. Moving forward, doubling down on the violence prevention program that we know help reduce violent crime. Can you give examples of programs that are working to our audience that they might be aware of, or they might not be aware of?
Absolutely. And so I am the only mayoral candidate in this race to have invested $18 million of funding, a first ever in the city of Oakland, towards violence prevention and violence interrupters. I mean, and when you think about $18 million by itself, you're like, well, that's a lot of money. But actually, it's 8% of OPD's budget. 8%. That's a single digit, right? And so this is for violence prevention and violence interrupters. And there are, and included in that is ceasefire, right? That is where community leaders who are trusted leaders can go out, and when they're after a shooting or what have you, they'll go out and find those who may retaliate and ask them to put down their guns. That's one program. There's also Youth Alive, where it's a non-PD program, where if someone is in the hospital, for example, because of a gunshot wound, they are deployed to go out and have a conversation with the victim. But more so than that, it's about activation. It's investing into our young people, right? These are programs. These could be anywhere from, making sure that they have the programming necessary at rec centers, to ensuring that they have access to hot food. And so this is just a drop in the bucket. And as your next mayor, I want to double the amount of violence prevention and violence interrupters. My opponents didn't see far enough past their nose to understand that when you talk about public safety, you have to talk about the holistic part of public safety. Meaning that because government has not actually invested in young people for so long and have divested from communities that needed resources the most, from our young people, that now, they want to talk about the response only. And it is not okay to only talk about the response if you're not willing to invest in the forefront. And so as your next mayor, I want to run a program that is for paid internships for our young people, high school students all the way to 30-year-olds year round. Because I was actually honored to be invited personally by the public, is that me? Oh, by the public advocate of New York City, to actually be on a panel and to talk about the violence prevention, right? And so we saw that because of the paid internships, that actually lowers the ability for someone to actually run into, sorry about that, to actually be harmed by crime or by gun violence, or also run into officers or what have you, right? And be in that space. And so we know that works. Why wouldn't we invest in it year round? And so it's a 70% success rate in regards to how people are staying alive, our young people especially. And so that's what we need to do. As leaders, you have to be intentional. If you want public safety and you want it you want that to be the conversation, the forefront, you have to invest into communities who are marginalized. Because this is a classist war that we're going through, essentially. Right? It's not the skin color. It's about the different class. It's about the have and the have-nots. It's about the have-nots fighting for the crumbs that they're being given. And then those who are able to grab some of those crumbs are saying, okay, I got mine and I'm going to close the door now. And that is not okay. We have to show hope and compassion. When our young people are hopeless, I tell you, that is a very dangerous state to be in. That is what makes it easier to make bad decisions. That's what makes it easier to pull the trigger. But I'm not saying that it is okay to pull the trigger. If you pull the trigger, you must face the consequences. However, we have to truly invest in our young people, in our communities, to activate public spaces and be intentional about creating a space where people can find mentors. And not just that, but I always say that when you increase your social network, you also increase your social net worth, and that's going to be key.
Well said, Sheng. Oh, go ahead, Doug.
That was amazing.
Yeah, well said. So I'm a daughter of Oakland, raised in the Lake Merritt area. And so in talking about just safety, we want to also talk about property safety. And I know colloquially, my friends are like, you got to be careful when you come back to the town, Ashley, because, everybody's bipping. And so, breaking windows of cars. What is, can you tell us a little bit about what your plans are to kind of protect property? It's hard to come, like you said, it's the haves and the have-nots. And even before COVID, when there's been, of course, gross financial impact, cars and just owning stuff, is blood, sweat, and tears to get those things. So how can we kind of preserve, the integrity of what people have really sacrificed?
Absolutely. My home was burglarized. My car is broken into, my windows I have a glass guy.
Right.
And so and it costs a lot, right? Because we know that one of those windows can truly make someone homeless, right? It's like $300 to fix a window, and if you don't have that $300 and you have to pick between fixing that or food on the table, that becomes a real situation. And so what we saw is that there's a lot of the fencing that's happening, right, which is the stealing of electronics and then shipping it out to different countries. And so prior to COVID, many of our interagencies have shut down their interagency work. And so we need to make sure that that is actually lifted up again, right? Crime is fluid. Whether it's property crime, violent crimes, it is fluid. But we behave right now in today's day as if crime is only happening here in Oakland, as if it's only Oaklanders who are hurting other Oaklanders. But that's not the case. And so we have to talk and communicate with each other, cross different cities, cross jurisdictions, and cross county as well too, to ensure that that we are sending a strong message that it is never okay to actually break into people's windows or harm people. And not just that, but to your point, whether it's your catalytic converter, which costs a lot of money.
Right.
And so, but we can get these task forces up and really shut down the main fencing, right, and do sting operation and shut down the fencing stings or operations that are happening, which we saw one of them shut down in San Francisco. But it's really trying to investigate, track down where these people are dropping off all of the iPads and iPhones and what have you, and making sure that there's not supply for that demand across the sea.
Thank you.
Sheng, I don't know if our audience knew how well versed you were on not just your experience in life and understanding the common people, but I loved how you articulated it's not a white or black or brown or Hispanic or Chinese or AAPI issue. It is a class issue now. And until we recognize that divide,
yeah.
On that note,
yes.
Can you hear me?
It's choppy.
Yeah. Okay. How about now? Okay. On that note, close to your heart and personal experience is the issue of homelessness. During your time at City Hall, you have been a leader on issues securing millions in funding for affordable housing, homelessness services, and at-risk youth. Can you share how you were able to secure money for affordable housing and homelessness services in light of the mayor increasing homelessness by 130% in Oakland, California. Thank you.
Yes, I really appreciate this question. You know, when I became a council member, so I was a staffer before, and that's when you and I met, Doug. I was a staffer, so understanding how, I guess, for lack of a better term, how the sausage is made, right? Understanding how the bureaucracy works is really critical and important. And so, becoming a staffer and then being a council member, what I knew immediately is that I needed to go make friends at the state level and at the federal level, because we don't have enough resources here in the city of Oakland to solve our many different crises that we have. And so I took on leadership position at League of California Cities. And from that point, I met I have the endorsement of Speaker Anthony Rendon, Attorney General Rob Bonta, Congresswoman Judy Chu, and so many others. And that is the direct result of my ability to collaborate with all of these different leaders from all different backgrounds, up and down California and out of state, and then ensuring that we do get the resources. And that's the kind of mayor we need. We need a mayor who, yes, is connected, but also understand the community, because I have that lived life experience, right? And deliver. So I'm proudly endorsed by the Oakland Tenants Union, ACE Action, homelessness and housing advocates, labor and small business leaders, and working families, because I have the right approach to tackling these interlocking issues. It's an ecosystem. Without stability in housing, you're going to not be able to, function correctly in society. I have been unhoused. I lived in my car with my son, and I couch surf, and it was traumatizing, right? Why? Well, I had a full-time job, but I couldn't pay for first month's rent, deposit, and last month's rent. And that's not okay. And so I do have an aggressive housing goal, because currently under the current mayor, she has built 130% worth of market rate housing. And altogether, in regards to deeply affordable, and moderate rate, together it's only about 24%. And that is not okay. And so I want to expedite and deliver housing to build 30,000 new housing units by the end of my second term as mayor. And I want to address the homelessness head on and have on-demand mental health and drug treatment with expanded RV parking sites. But more importantly, making sure that we open up the Northgate parcel so that we can put everybody onto one site and triage. Right? It's multiple different things. You can triage mental health. You can triage substance abuse. You can triage and make sure that families are first when it comes to placing people into permanent housing, right? And then at the same time, you're getting people off out of our parks so that families can enjoy the parks again. Because I lived in apartments majority of my life, and the parks in my front yard and backyard. But as a parent, you don't know who's having a bad day or a good day. And so it's like it's a precarious situation, but we need to put people in shelter, in dignified shelter, and truly triage them. The mayor, this is so frustrating. The mayor lost $70 million. Well, not lost. She sent out $70 million to a few nonprofits, and not $1 of it was tracked or traced, meaning we do not know. I mean, we do know, because the number says that we've increased in our population unhoused, that this is not working. Whatever the money is paying for isn't working. And I don't take this lightly. As a single mom who was actually on the streets before, mental health is a real thing. If you didn't have mental health issues before, you do now, right? And not just that, but women and children are hurting and being raped and all of that out there. People are dying. And so for someone to be so cavalier about, oh, maybe I'll, give millions of dollars to organizations that had just started and then not have them track anything, that is just ridiculous. And so for me, homelessness is not a new thing, right? My parents are refugees. If my refugee parents could get housed immediately, why is it so hard that we can't house our own homeless people that are living on our streets? And so I want to work with those organizations that have that track record to ensure that we get people housed.
Dr. Ashley, before you ask your next question, let me be clear here, audience. Not here in Oakland, and not just here in Alameda County, state of California, in this country, but several other countries across the world. This is the type of leadership, elected leadership, that we must have to bring justice, social justice, and fairness to all people. I attended, and that's why I'm at Scott's here today. I attended the Oakland African American Chamber of Commerce lunch today, and one of the two people who are running for being supported by Libby, they are. I mean, 2 weeks ago they were my friend. Now they act like they're angry at me. This is not a game here, America. This is real people facing real life challenges. Sheng Thao, candidate running for Mayor of Oakland, pro tem, has outlined in just a few minutes a clear plan that covers all of Oakland, not just the elite and the well-connected. Sheng, thank you for taking the time to come on my show, our show, and I say my, Dr. Ashley, our show, Dr. Ashley and my show today, and I'm going to make sure that this show reverberates to all people, because this is America. This is not a black or white issue. We have a city in Oakland, California, that's under siege by a mayor who will go to Washington, D.C. to get $500 million for a rich white man to build a ballpark. But we have homelessness that has increased under her regime by 130%, and 70% of those people are African American, and out of that 70%, over 50% are senior citizens. Shame, 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 Oakland. This is not a black or white issue. This is a humanity issue. On that note, I'm going to ask the next question. I apologize for the passion, but I am tired of driving around Oakland seeing people who look like me, who've been devastated by Mayor Libby Schaaf, Mayor Libby Schaaf, Tear running Oakland as mayor. And if you want to go to Washington, D.C. and ask Vice President Kamala Harris for $500 million, why don't you ask for $500 million for the homelessness that are hurting in this city in Oakland, California? Thank you. Excuse me, I apologize for that, audience, but it's disheartening to hear this.
No, you're absolutely right, Doug. And that's I mean, of course we can walk and chew gum at the same time, right? We could do multiple different things. However, it shouldn't be the ballpark and then public safety and then homelessness. Right. It should be the other way around.
Can you imagine what $500 million would do for homeless in Oakland, California? Can you imagine that? Just close your eyes and go, what would that do for all these people who are living on the street? But we're going to get $500 million to a rich white man, and we got all these. Anyway, I'm going to shut up.
I'm going to jump in just only because Sheng is a VIP. We actually only have a couple more minutes with her. But Sheng, let me just let you know, as I'm the one that had to get familiar with your platform, as Doug has spoken so highly of you, we've got to get you back on. Again, it's very clear the humanity and your ideas are so stimulating, so many questions, but we'll fire away just a couple, but we have to get you back on.
Yes, absolutely. Anytime. It's the love work. I trust me, I don't do this for the pay. I don't do it for the title. Right. I actually rather just let the work speak for itself. And that's why at city council meetings, I'm probably the quietest person, but I'm actually the most effective getting work done. I mean, in my district, it was a huge, so I always joke around it, but it's true. I'm the poorest council member representing the richest neighborhood in Oakland. However, when I was looking for a place for my son and I was looking for somewhere where it would be safe. I'm a single mom. And so, but there was, living above 580 was just a dream. And so for me, it was like, let's build some affordable housing in above 580 in District 4. And a lot of people say, well, that's unheard of. Like, they're not going to let you do that. Well, guess what? We broke ground. I worked hand in glove since day one, and it is unheard of to actually be in my first term. And we're building 197 affordable units in the Laurel Business District above 580. We got that done.
Council Member Sheng, how much time do you have left? Because we have a ton of questions here. And audience, Oakland, Alameda County, California, and United States. This is the type of person who can lead from her experience. I've called this person and asked her on several issues, she can garner the support of city council to get things passed without clogging it up. So, Dr. Ashley, go ahead and fire off the next question so we can move, because I can sit here and talk to Sheng all day. Come on down to Scott's. I'll buy dinner. We'll talk until they close. But you are the progressive leader that we need leading our government, because right now we got a bunch of parasites who are getting rich while the common person gets poor.
Doug, find your stick. Find your stick. You know what, Sheng, I was parsing through. I'm like, okay, I'll go with this one, especially for our listeners. As mayor, you shared on your website that you will streamline the permitting process to make it easier to open a small business in Oakland and thrive here. Can you share with us your plan to help business owners kind of avoid this red tape that bogs down their ability to realize their dreams?
Absolutely. In the city of Oakland, it's not a secret that we don't have any big box retail, right? And so, but yet we depend so much on our small businesses tax revenues. But then we create all of these red tape and barriers and hoops for them to jump through. And so we just need to make it easier. And it's political will. I tell you, it's about prioritizing what you want to work on, and it's political will. And if you know that this is the backbone of the city, right, our small businesses, we have to make it easier for our small businesses to succeed. And that includes the streamlining of the small business permit, creating an actual document that says, if you do X, Y, Z, and you come and then we send one inspector that time, and we check off those boxes, then you're good to go. Instead of moving the flag post every single time, depending on who you get at City Hall, right? It depends on who you get at City Hall. And sometimes when you have the second inspector come out, they have a different version of what passes and what doesn't pass. It's a mess. And all it takes is political will, and not just that, but rolling up your sleeves a little bit and asking about, okay, best practices, let's implement that. Creating a different culture of how we do the work at City Hall, making it so that it is easier for folks. And not just that, but I'm the champion of developing an EIFD, which is an Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District, just for East Oakland and West Oakland. But a portion of that funds, it's going to be dedicated to small business owners who can use those funds as grant funding for their capital improvements within their business. Because we know that depending on how the business look on the outside, it can invite or not invite or be inviting for customers, right? And so we want them to succeed. And the whole part of it is that City Hall works for the people. And I think that people forget that when you're in public service, you work for the people. You know, you don't sit in a high throne and say, hey, I'm mayor, so like, you know, I'm exclusive. No, you are literally the number one public servant for the city to ensure that it works for the residents and the businesses that are in your city. And I take that seriously. It's not a light job. It is a tough job. But it is a job of love work. And you have to have love work and love for community to ensure that you're doing the work the right way. And unfortunately, I do believe that people have forgotten that this is the kind of work we do. It's not about lining your pockets or your friends' pockets. It's about doing the real work. And yes, Oakland has many different crises. So it's going to take people who knows how to work hard, which I do as a daughter refugee. I've proven that over and over. And not just that, but have the creative ideas and the connections. You know, it's just, we can't allow for our next mayor to just be another, you know, I guess, you know, a person who comes out to take pictures. You know, roll up your sleeves, get to work. For my appointed city administrator, I'm gonna require that person to be out in the streets. You can only know how to solve issues and problems if you understand the issues and problems yourself.
And I know, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
For the last question, I know we're real tight on time, and you know, this is very close to my heart. So you are a champion for small businesses and economic development in the city of Oakland, and have been and will continue to be as mayor. Can you share how you brought business and labor together to reduce taxes on small businesses and the source amount of revenue dollars that bring in and where that money actually went. Thank you.
Absolutely. So, you know, there was three different options for a progressive business tax. Currently, right now, all businesses, whether you're a small business or a large business, you pay the same amount of taxes, right? So if you're Clorox, you pay the same amount as the coffee shop on the corner. And so that's not fair. So we wanted a progressive structure to this, where the biggest corporations will pay a bigger share. And there were three ballot measures that were being proposed, three versions. One from big business saying that they would only offer up $8 million in how they support, and then labor unions wanted $44 million, and then two council members wanted $40 million. Again, with a tax cut to small businesses, and with the biggest corporations paying the most. So I brought the two sides together. I brought big Chamber of Commerce, and I brought in labor unions and small businesses, and we had really tough conversations. But I led the efforts because I'm a straight shooter, and everyone knows that. And so they're like, if anybody can do this, you can. And so I brought them together. We had real conversations, put aside our differences, made our North Star moving Oakland forward. And we came out of that after 2 months with one proposal. And that one proposal is now going to generate $20 million. $20 million for services, direct services for the city of Oakland. And that I didn't know this, but has been unheard of, in the sense that this was a historical moment where Chamber of Commerce and labor unions, they never stood side by side before. And this is the first time in history that they are standing side by side, one on each side of me, and we are having a press conference saying, yes, we all agree that $20 million is where we need to be at. It is fair for the residents. It is fair for the businesses, where the biggest corporations like Clorox and Pandora will pay a higher share, and we will give a huge tax breaks to smaller businesses. And that's the kind of leadership we need. We don't need all the infighting, the politicking. We're grown-ups. We're adults. We can come to the room and make adult decisions and learn how to work and play together. We all live and work and play here in the city of Oakland. It doesn't make any sense that we continue to try to stand in front of each other to pump up to see whose chest is bigger, right? It doesn't make any sense. We got to work together. And again, all of this noise around, not working together, it only hurts working families the most. It hurts those families who don't have time to pay attention to our council meetings the most. It hurts those families, again, with the school closures, right? It's those families who don't even know their school is closing that are going to feel the hurt of that and how racist that was. And I have no problem. I am not endorsed by the mayor. I'm not endorsed by the institution of what City Hall looks like right now, because I'm not afraid of calling people out for what things are. I will, and Doug knows this, if it's racist and it's part of systemic racism, I will call it out on its face. Because in order to fix systemic racism, you have to be intentional. There's no excuses around it. Create the environment and the atmosphere to ensure that everybody gets an opportunity. If you want to say that color don't matter to you, then you better make that situation a reality, because that's not the case right now.
Sheng Thao, let me say this, Doug, because I know you're familiar. It's very clear. You may not be endorsed by the mayor, but you are endorsed by the California Nurses Association, Planned Parenthood, the Democratic Party, and others who are very familiar with your platform. Listeners, as you can see, Sheng is definitely a straight shooter. You can learn more about her platform by visiting her website, Sheng, F-O-R, Oakland.com, ShengForOakland.com. Doug?
Sheng, you spoke for yourself today. And I am so proud that we are endorsing you on the Black Business Roundtable, and looking at our founder, Mr. Donnie Glover, on blackusa.news. He thinks that you are an outstanding job. So not only will your name be spoken on the West Coast here in Oakland, California, and if you get a chance, Sheng, if you're around, come on down. Let's go to dinner tonight.
I wish I could. I have a candidate for him.
I'll call you. Send me a text. I'd like to. Is that on Zoom?
No, it's actually out at St. Columbo in West Oakland. It's co-hosted by Faith in Action.
Send me the information if you have time, and I can be there, but I got to run back over here to pay the bill. But Dr. Ashley, my producer, Black USA News, BlackUSA.news, and audience listening to the #1 show on BlackUSA.news network. This is the type of politician that we need to be electing all over this country, not the ones who get paid while the constituents get played. It's been a wonderful opportunity for the Black Business Roundtable to have you on the show and articulate and educate our audience on your platform and how you will look out for all people, not just the connected people. Sheng, we look forward to having you back on the show. We know the election is in a couple of weeks, and you can imagine the type of things that I'm going to be putting out after today.
I appreciate you both so much. Thank you, Doug, and thank you, Dr. Ashley. So nice to meet you.
Likewise.
Be
See
safe.
you soon. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Ashley, as you can see why I'm supporting this lady.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I see it, Doug. Let's keep rolling. Let me acknowledge our producer. We can keep going with more candidates. So again, thank you, Mr. Donnie Glover of BlackUSA.news. Listeners, be sure to check out our sister shows, Chap and Friends on Mondays, Party Marty Let's Talk on Tuesdays. There's Black USA Crypto News with Kamal Hubbard on Fridays. And there's also on Saturdays, the Blackout Live from New York with our sister Tashmir. And on Sundays, we have 60 Minutes and Black USA News with Michael Haney. Doug?
Well, after having one mayor candidate running for Oakland, California, audience, let's welcome back to the show, Barack D. Obama Shaw, running for mayor of Alameda, California. Audience, get ready for 15 minutes of Barack D. Obama Shaw. Correct. That is the man who is going to take over Alameda and move forward with the new mayor in Oakland, moving this area forward. Dr. Ashley, please.
Thank you. Welcome back, Barack. It's our understanding that you recently participated in a forum hosted by the Alameda Post. What hot button question or topics were addressed that you think most resonated with the audience?
I think what most resonated with the audience is how we will communicate with the council. You know, when people are showing up to discuss the different issues and things of that sort, how we will communicate. And I spoke about the importance of the listening that's in the communication, and not just someone hearing, I heard you. No, but did you really grasp what I said? I know you heard it, but did you really listen? Did you really listen to what I said? And I think when people are listened to in such a way that they're being like, it's an acknowledgement, when we really truly listen to what people have to say. I've seen instances in my life when I didn't know how to listen. You could be in a relationship with someone. It's like, you're not listening to me. You're not listening to me. You're not listening. And you're like, I am. No, you're not listening to me. I'm standing in front of you. It's like, you still don't hear what I have to say. But it takes skill to be able to listen in such a way to where people can get that you really do hear them and understand them. So I think that was the biggest part that came out of the forum, because many times people would say to me, people that I meet out on the street, that things are happening and they don't feel involved, that they're being listened to.
Barack, one of the things that we had an opportunity to get Sheng, and I support Sheng as strongly as I support you. We went over a little bit over the time, but I want to make sure our audience understands that Mr. Barack D. Obama Shaw, Council Member, District 4, Pro Tem President Sheng Thao, These are the type of people that we need to get elected, who are going to represent the common day people like myself, Dr. Ashley, and the listeners all across this nation, starting here in Oakland, Alameda County, California, and the United States, that are going to represent us and not get paid while other people get played, that constituents get played. To that end, Barack, how you doing, my brother?
I'm doing great, wonderful, and it's great to be back, on your show, and so many people are starting to listen. Like, I heard you on that show. You mean the Black Roundtable? Yes, I heard you on there. I heard you with Dr. Ashley, I believe, was on. I said, yeah, she was on there. Yeah, you heard me. So it's really great. So you guys are like coming up in my circles, and I'm hearing some great feedback from our conversations. Yeah.
Well, one of the things I'm going to give Donnie Glover, the BlackUSA.News, all his props. Donnie Glover has allowed the common man and woman to get out here and give the real news to Black America and all America, but specifically Black America, in regards to, we need candidates like you and Sheng Thao who are going to fight for all people. We have so many politicians who are getting paid while their constituents get played, and you, I believe, are going to break that cycle, as I believe Sheng Thao is, who's running for mayor, Elisa Victory, who's running for mayor, because we have ranked choice here in Oakland. We also have Pamela Price, who's running for district attorney, social justice warrior, DA, Val Demings in Florida, down in Georgia. We have Marcus Flowers. But to that end, Dr. Ashley, would you like to ask the next question, or is it all?
It's on you, but no, but I actually want to hear a little bit more. Is there anything, Brock, that you want to share, update our listeners on about your platform, upcoming events? We're in that final push, just a little over a week.
Well, one of the things that I'd like to share, and I think it's, could be simple, could be profound, but it's pretty simple. One of the things I shared in my opening statement of why someone would choose me is because the other people have been around for years. It's the same people over and over again. And the same people, it's the probability of them doing what they have been doing is pretty high. And, if you have an Oakland football team and they're not winning, and you have the same coach, it might be a good idea to get a new coach, or to get some new players on the team, because then you could see some progress and some people that really want it. And because some people who've been doing it so long, they're like, well, I got this. I don't really have to, do anything. But get some people in there that's hungry, that really, really want to make a mark out in the world and making a difference, and show that they're doing something with their life and inspiring other people. So that's what I would, look at, newness, new blood, new energy, new ideas. And I would look at like a quote from Albert Einstein. He said, the no problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. So we would need to have some type of creativity to move above where we have been. So, and if we're taking those types of actions to move above where we have been, then we'll have some new ideas and some solutions to the problems, and some satisfaction, which is really wanted at this time. Being satisfied with the process of selecting candidates.
Mm-hmm. Now, Barack, you've been on our show several times, but we don't want to leave behind potential new listeners who aren't familiar with you and your unique name. can you share with us again, just recap how your name came about, and just the name recognition and what this process has been like for you as people are trying to learn more about you, but I imagine other names or other people are coming up in their search process.
Well, that's a good question. I could talk about my name for 3 hours. I really could. Well, I wanted to say that it didn't come from me. It came from the people. It wasn't like, oh, Barack Obama, Barack D. Obama Shaw. That sounds like a great name. I'll just take that name. No, it started back in 2007. I was doing a speech. I was in front of a group of people and sharing, and people were getting inspired. And a couple of ladies in the audience were excited about me sharing and speaking. And they just gave me this name. Oh, like you like young Obama. I'm like, what is that? Who is that? At the time, I didn't know. And so I just started listening to him. I was like, okay, this guy's really it's a really great speaker. I think he's going to be really up to something, And that name had just kind of followed me over the years, and people would see that. I don't know exactly how they saw that, in me, right? Because I'm like, hey, he's amazing, right? And but when I was in the military in 2013, I just took on listening to the people, what was showing up, and I made it my legal name in 2013. And inside of having a life of leadership, making a difference, and being of service.
Wonderful. Now we know, again, in order to learn more about you, your Instagram handle is at Barack Denzel. There's also hashtag Barack Denzel. You also have a Facebook page, Barack Denzel. Anything else you want to share with our listeners? Any upcoming events or push before people head to the polls or of course, vote by mail?
What I'd like to share is on the vote by mail under the mayor, I'm number 1 on the list. So don't go any further. Just mark that. And that section is complete. And then you can go to the next box. That's if you're standing for change, a newness. And I recommend that people get out. Don't wait till the last minute. I mean, if you do, if you are voting by mail, get that settled for yourself. And if you're going to be going to the polls, make sure you schedule that in your planner way ahead of schedule. So that way it's done, and then you can support other people who possibly don't know, or they may be busy doing something, but support other people and having their voice heard in terms of voting.
That's wonderful. Again, Barack, we always appreciate your time. Thank you for coming in and letting our listeners know about you, your name, and your platform. Remember, get out and vote, and also support your fellow neighbor to vote, a loved one as well. Barack, again, thank you so much for your time. Any events though? Any events or anything coming up?
I'm creating. It's brewing over here. So, but I don't have the final details of it. But I will definitely let you know way before it happens, because it's time is of the essence right now.
Okay. Well, Barack, we appreciate you so much. We look forward to having you back soon.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Well, also, as you see, listeners, we are having a star-studded lineup of mayoral candidates from Sheng Thao from Oakland, Barack D. Obama Shaw for Alameda. And in a few minutes, we hope to have our social justice warrior, Janani Ramachandran, to come in and update us on what's going on. Let me go ahead and just invite you, if you are interested, to join our Black Business Roundtable advertisement family, or to be a possible guest on the show. Email us at BBRT2021@hotmail.com. In that email, include the details of your company, and its website so that you can be vetted properly for consideration, again, to join the advertisement family or to be a possible guest on the show. Doug, we've had a lineup today.
Hold on, the train's going by. Give me.
Okay. And to our East Coast listeners, if you're not familiar, this train comes through Jack London Square. I'm having a core memory, what we say in psychology, a core memory of trying to cross the street safely to either head one way to the movie theater, or I'm going to age myself to TGI Fridays when that was jumping into Jack London.
Dr. Ashley, we have had a star-studded future leaders. Audience, let's be clear. America is in a crisis. We have elected leaders who are profiting from their position of being elected, whether it be council members, mayors, assembly members, Congress, Senate, while the common day person is suffering homelessness, economic poverty, small business challenges, and we're just sitting doing nothing. On the Black Business Roundtable, part of BlackUSA.org, we are getting involved politically so that we can take advantage of it. One of the things in America that we must all remember, without political power, without the political power, you have no power. Your vote counts. Your vote matters. To that end, Dr. Ashley, is Janani backstage?
Not yet. She's coming in a few minutes, but just looking forward to catching up with her. And again, seeing how her campaign is going. So, yes, and looked at the comments. We see again, and we'll just wait here, some comments about how the crab dip was and whatnot. But Doug, we're in that final push. And the passion, I really appreciate your passion as always about the state of Oakland and just the country in general, all neighborhoods and equality, business opportunities. But I'm just thinking about, again, Barack has been with us several weeks, so I've gotten familiar, with his platform and encourage our listeners to do so as well. And that can help inform residents of Alameda in making their choice. But it also was very refreshing to hear Sheng speak passionately about Oakland from a place where you can tell she loves the city. And when we love things and people, we can also hold them accountable to the greatness, the level of greatness that they can achieve. And so in hearing her talk about her personal experience and also her ideas about how to make Oakland great again, it's important.
Well, audience, let me share, since we have a few minutes and I'll be brief. The city of Oakland has created or is creating under Lauren Taylor and Treva Reed's signed on for this new legislation that will open up Oakland's small business certification process to every Tom, Dick, and Harry across this country. Oakland is suffering from a lack of small business opportunities. We have big developers coming into this city who are raping. Yes, they're raping the city for the dollar, and the small businesses are suffering. Lauren Taylor, council member who's running for mayor, and Treva Reeds, who signed on to the legislation that Lauren Taylor passed that would allow anybody to come into this city and bid on contracts, to where the city of Oakland has already been ravished with lack of opportunity. We got our head. I know Johnny is always on time. So I want to wrap this up by saying I contacted Sheng Thao, council member District 6, in regards to one white woman getting a $5.5 million contract. And that is 5 times more than all the money contracts given out to all the black businesses in the city of Oakland under the disparity study, and she, with her relationship with other council members, were able to derail that contract. But we need people like Janani. We need people like Barack D. Obama Shaw in Alameda, Sheng Thao running for mayor in Oakland, Kevin Jenkins running for District 6. We do not need these people who are coming in and getting paid while the constituents get played. To that end, Janani Ramachandran, what's up, my sister? What's happening, girl?
Good to see you both. I have been door knocking all day. That is why I'm in my car with my yard signs in the back over there. 12 days away. We're pounding the pavement.
Well, let me start by saying welcome back. We know you've been busy, and I want to say we are all praying for you and voting for you too. I saw your competitor or young lady who's running against you, and her campaign called me about a week ago, and I had to light them up. I said, look, I know her name. I don't want to mention her name. She's not getting any airtime on my show. And I said, the reason why I'm not voting for her is because she found out I was supporting Janani Ramachandran, and she stopped speaking to me. Well, that's the type of candidates and elected officials we have now. We don't need one more.
Exactly.
Yeah. Whether we win, lose, or draw, when the election's over, we come together as a Democratic Party. And until we do that and have officials that'll do that, such as yourself, Shang, and others, then we're going to have people who, when they win, oh, I'm going to get you, sucker. And we need to get those people out of office.
Exactly.
Let's welcome back Janani Ramachandran. And Dr. Ashley, please, can you fire off the first question to this outstanding candidate who's going to represent all people and continuously is a social justice warrior for all Oaklanders? Thank you.
Absolutely. Janani, welcome back. I've been, like I'm sure many of our listeners have been keeping up with you, what you've been doing, social media platforms. I'll let Doug give you an opportunity to share some updates, but I can't help but to share that I was on social media last night and I was reading posts, and I'm so glad you were here because I wanted to send you a DM and didn't have time. Can you bring our listeners up to speed on some of the anti-Semitic comments that came up that you addressed, and just kind of what's been going on in the race? Just kind of bring our listeners up. But I couldn't help. I'm not going to lie. I was watching the exchange and wanted to fire off, but I had to be mindful. Like I shared at our Therapeutic Thursday, mindful communication. Can you share with us what happened?
Sure. So Kanye West has been in the news lately for a host of reasons. Him supporting White Lives Matter movements, Make America Great Again movements, and most recently, making deeply anti-Semitic comments, very violent comments against the Jewish community in an extraordinary inflammatory way. We've been seeing that in the news, and regardless of how you feel about Kanye West, as a candidate with a public platform at this stage, it's dangerous to make certain kinds of comments and inflame really the right wing and those who want to cause harm to other communities, including the Jewish community, including the Black community, and so many others. So my opponent quoted an article that talked about Kanye West losing a lot of business deals, I believe, and said, I'm praying for Ye, was the essence of the post. Hoping he recovers and I'm on his team. And to express solidarity to someone that has been so violently racist and anti-Semitic publicly in the last few weeks in particular is dangerous. So a lot of individuals and community members saw that tweet and contacted me, and I made a statement saying hate speech of any kind has no room in Oakland politics. And then yesterday, I got together with a broad coalition of leaders. Former Mayor of Oakland, Elihu Harris, current council member, Dan Cowell, and former Vice Mayor, Marge Gibson Haskell, who served around the same time as Elihu. And we gathered in front of the Laurel Cyclery, which is a bike shop in District 4, and the owner is of Jewish descent himself. And we spoke to the press about why hate speech like this is inflammatory and why showing a celebrity's support in these times is not okay. It's deeply un-Oakland. It's a tactic that's used by the right wing, by others who want to divide our communities. Right now in Oakland, we're facing violence of all kinds, and we need to come together and build cross-racial solidarity and cross-religious solidarity to actually build change. And my opponent was interviewed as well, and all of her supporters say she's apologized. Give everyone a second chance. She's apologized. And to that I say two things. One, everyone makes mistakes, but there was no apology in this situation. The tweet was taken down, and there was a statement made in its place. I'm not anti-Semitic. And instead of me really responding to that, I'll let you know what Elihu Harris told the media yesterday. Anyone can say they're sorry after they've made a damaging statement. But if you are running for public office, if you are a public leader and trying to be a public leader in some capacity, the real question is why you did it in the first place. The more important question is what made you do that in the first place. And since then, there have been several media outlets and community organizations that have picked up the issue. And there's been more discovery of tweets that express support for the right wing. Tweets expressing support of climate change deniers, Glenn Beck, and among other people. Kari Bush, who's running as a very right-wing individual in Arizona, among other things. So this is a pattern, and it really brings to question if you want someone expressing support for these national figures that are part of our right wing, and unfortunately Kanye West is a part of that. Sorry, I'm going on too long, but I'll add one more thing. Please. One thing that's really struck chord in a lot of our community members, both existing supporters and people who hadn't made up their mind but reached out, is the excuse of mental health. Mental health is not an excuse to be anti-Semitic or racist or anything like that. We can't condone violent language just because of someone's mental health issues, and especially public figures in the way that they are right now.
Dr. Ashley, my phone may go dead before this podcast is out.
I got you. I got your back. No problem.
I'm going to stay on as long as I can. The 10% mode just came on saying, danger, we're going to cut you off. But
no problem.
I'm going to ask one question since I have hopefully a few bars left. Janani, first off, we missed you. We miss what you bring to the show. But the good thing about it is our audience knows who to vote for in District 4 in Oakland, California. To that end, Janani, we have missed you and glad to have you back for an update visit. Can you give us and bring back to date what's going on in your campaign as we are supporting you to work with the new regime that will be elected to represent all people in the city of Oakland, California? Thank you.
Absolutely. So we are 12 days away from this election. We are working. We have been door knocking. I have been door knocking every single day for 5 to 6 hours, talking to neighbors. We are, if anyone is interested in joining us to knock on a few doors and spread the word about our mission, please visit our website. It's titled below to join our movement. But that's one thing that's come across. District 4 is varied. It's diverse. You have a lot of the hills, and you also have some of the flats, and you have a wide variety of people who seem to be coming together on a lot of core issues. People want a safe Oakland. They want a responsive city hall, and everyone wants to fill the potholes.
Yes. Absolutely. Janani, where can supporters or people that are undecided catch you this weekend to learn more about? Well, again, we know you're a doer, a sayer and a doer. So where can they catch you this weekend?
Every Saturday morning, I hold office hours at a different District 4 cafe. This week, I will be holding them at Paulista in the Glenview neighborhood. Please join if you are undecided, if you have lingering questions, or if you just want to chat. And I will be hopefully when elected, continuing these office hours for as long as voters will have me, because a responsive city hall is a stronger local democracy.
Dr. Ashton, let me ask this last question before I hope I don't get kicked off for unintroduced. Janani, is there anything else you want to share with our audience so we can make sure that a person like you who is coming into political employment can get your support your candidacy in addition to giving you donations, volunteer work, etc., to make sure that you are elected and not the person who's making those statements?
Absolutely. We want to tap the movement because we are a movement. This campaign is beyond just me or I. It really is we. So I want to hear your feedback, your comments, your constructive criticism, anything you'd like. And if you know people who live in District 4, please ask them to reach out and consider voting for me. We love people who want to display lawn signs. We love our neighbors who want to send emails to their neighbors talking about a nice candidate that they're considering voting for. Grassroots spreading the word is how we've been doing it, and the way to win. So please tap into our movement.
Dr. Ashley, we want to, and I'm sure, I hope I'm speaking for Dr. Ashley, I'm sure I am. Janani, you have been a friend of this show for almost a year now. We are elated to have you as part of the Black Business Roundtable on the BlackUSA.News Network, the #1 show in the nation on this podcast network. We support you. And Dr. Ashley, can you close us out? A train's coming by again.
I got you. Janani, thank you so much for checking in. I've enjoyed your cafe pictures and seeing you in the community. Just the last question, what's one thing you're doing for self-care as you enter into these last days before voting? What's a self-care regimen that you've been doing?
The answer is I have not been, but what I aspire to be doing is just 10 minutes of breathing exercises every morning. Sometimes I'm able to squeeze that in. Right now, it's just, can I get enough sleep and can I get some nutrition? That is self-care right now. But
there we go.
12 days from now,
yes,
we'll have a lot more.
Okay, well, keep filling your tank. If you can't do 10, try 2. Hang in there. We look forward to hearing and celebrating with you on the other side.
Thank you for having me. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Wow, what a show.
Dr. Ashley, I'm telling you, I'm feeling good about politics now and our politicians. America, specifically Black America, we have got to start looking at the bigger picture here. We're not voting for candidates because they're Black now. We're voting for candidates because they're going to represent the people. And that is all the people. In Oakland, California, we have been challenged many, many times with electing people because they look like Dr. Ashley and myself. But Dr. Ashley, as you close this out, I'd like to say this before this phone cuts out. America, vote, vote, vote. Be smart. I attended the Oakland African American Chamber of Commerce annual luncheon at Scott's Seafood Restaurant at Jack London Square in Oakland, California, where I am now. And let me tell you something. The mayor was honored with a special recognition, Mayor Libby Schaaf. She, under her leadership, and I'll be brief, Dr. Ashley, the homeless population has increased by 130%. Black businesses in Oakland, California have just died almost out under Mayor Libby Schaaf's leadership, who is supporting Lauren Taylor, council member in District 6, and Treva Reeves, council member in District 7. It is not, and it is no longer acceptable to vote for someone because they're Black. We need to vote for someone because they're going to represent all people. And on that end, Dr. Ashley, please close us out. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Again, just want to highlight more shows on our network for you to check out. BlackUSA.News Morning Show, People Over Politics, The Robert Report, Shared Space, Data Mall Sis, Community Connections, Resources and Gardening, The Troy Rawlings Show, and The Beverly Smith Show. Also, we want to remind you of the hashtags that we hold dear to our heart. Hashtag Stand with Carlton of Raleigh, NC 2022, as well as hashtag Driving While Black, Michael Thrash, Taylor County, TX. Thank you, listeners, for joining us today. We return next week with a two-part special. So with Larry Lewis discussing the military and learning why one should consider joining the military and the potential benefits of making that decision. As always, we look forward to you tuning in with us every Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific time on the BlackUSA.News Network on YouTube and Facebook. Thank you, audience, for tuning in. And remember, together we can listen, learn, and share because I know you care. This is Dr. Ashley and Doug Blackshear of the Black Business Roundtable. God bless and good night.